Hey, everybody.
Please welcome our guest.
So, are you guys hungry? Me too, which is why we're going to be cooking the fajita dish that Beef Bobby Flame and Food Network Throwdown, I'm just saying. Season 7, episode 1, which you can all watch at FatherLeoFeeds.com. And so really, it begins with the sauce. And so let me just tell you what this whole talk is really about. It's about celebrating your faith and why. How many of you think that church is boring sometimes? Okay, good. For those who raised your hand, thank you for telling the truth. The rest of you, I will see you in confession. Because the fact is, church can be boring. It can be. And the reason why church is boring is because, I'm going to give you a definition of boring. The definition of boring is answering a question that no one is asking. That is the definition of boring. So if you're not coming to church asking questions, and you're not taking the time to ask the questions, then you really are boring people. So if you're bored at church, it's not my fault, it's yours. So ask the questions. And one question you definitely got to ask is, first of all, what are we making? We're making the fajitas, and what makes these so award-winning at Beef Bobby Flay, season 7, episode 1. But basically, what beat them was this marinade. And this marinade actually came from my time in Hawaii. And so what I did was I took fusion ingredients, things from all over the world. Like, we've got white wine here, that's obviously from France. We've got some soy sauce, which is obviously Asian, right? We've got some red chili pepper flakes, which is any kind of places that celebrate hot, spicy food. We've got brown sugar, which is actually a very Filipino thing, is to kind of make some sweet meat. So we've got that. We've got red wine vinegar, which will probably be, like more Italy or whatever, wherever you want to go. We've got some ground ginger, and so we could actually use the powder, or you could actually use the fresh ginger root, which, by the way, I didn't put all of these little things together. I want to thank Chef Peter Beach for putting that all together. He's the one who actually wants all the food. So if you don't know him, get to know him. He's an awesome cook. So we've got the ginger. That's another Asian flavor. We've got garlic. That's certainly Italian and Texas. So basically, we've got all these. So you ask, what's the American ingredient? Well, we've got ketchup. That's the other ingredient. Okay? So we've got the ketchup. This is basically all just going to marinate all together. And we're going to, instead of using, oh, by the way, a little bit of olive oil as well. Salt, pepper, and a little garlic powder as well.
And you snuck something else in that was clear.
It was my finger, and so, no, it was holy water. That's what it was. No, it was white wine, it was white wine.
It was later. Okay.
Oil, olive oil. Yep, it was olive oil. And don't worry, the recipes are available at FatherLeoFeeds.com. Okay? So we've got that all together, and what we've got to do now is basically marinate. I use the flank steak, but we can also use chicken. So, green shirt, come on up here for a second. That's you, young man. Yeah, here. Mick, or did you have? Yeah, come up here. Just kind of.
All right. Yeah.
Mix this all together, okay? Don't screw this up. You guys watching this? Do you know how to cook?
I'm not the best cook.
Is this your mom here?
Yeah.
Or dad? Okay. If he doesn't help you in the kitchen after this talk, he's not allowed to eat anymore. Why? Because St. Paul said it very clearly. If you don't work, you don't eat. So guess what? You learn how to make this. Do you have a girlfriend yet?
Not right now.
Well, guess what? This will bring them. And because the whole idea of feeding people is how you celebrate your faith. So just whisk that all up. You're doing a great job. In the meantime, I'm going to start chopping up some things, making sure. Put some soul into it, brother. All right? Good. You'll get there. It's good. I'm going to make some guacamole at the same time. I've got a bowl here. We are going to take the chicken and we're going to dump it in that. What's your name again?
Marty, I'm here.
Let's thank Marty for a week. Now, I say you can be seated, but the reason why I make people work is because if they don't work, they really are not participating in the celebration. Jesus called us very clearly to be people who know how to serve. So, by the way, I forgot to do something. In this bowl, I'm going to make some guacamole, which I call holy guacamole. And I'm going to make sure that everything is acidulated. So we're going to put in just the right amount of lime juice. And that way, when I actually put in the guacamole, the avocados, they're not going to turn brown and nasty. So let's make sure that we know the kind of the timing of it all. Just to get this off, nice twist turn, and it rolls right out. But the Mexicans will say, keep the seed in the guacamole, and that prevents it from turning brown. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just doing it. You know what really, though, really should do is acidulate it, and that basically means putting in the lime juice or the lemon juice. So if a family doesn't work together to eat, to cook, to kind of, how shall I say, become a family, then what's going to happen is that a family's not going to know how to celebrate their faith. Why? Because faith is all about family, right? Faith is really all about the family coming together to celebrate. And I think if there's one thing, and you heard me talk about the devil, because I love talking about the devil, because the devil doesn't get enough playtime, because one of the things the devil likes to do is not to be noticed, not to be seen. One of the things the devil loves to do is that the devil loves to feed people too. And the devil gives us, quote unquote, reasons to celebrate, but for all the wrong reasons. You see, God has one desire, and that's to feed his children. And the problem is, the devil wants to feed you as well. If you don't believe me, just think of Adam and Eve. They really screwed things up, didn't they? Why? Just because they ate the forbidden fruit. That's all there is to it. They were breaking God's diet, so to speak, and because of that, we now have a mess on our hands, and that shows that the devil truly wants to feed us bad things that look so good. And what we've got to do is eat the good things that might not look all that awesome, but it really is that which is going to save your life. And so all I'm doing right now is I'm just going to be mixing up just some of these red onions, toss that all in here as well. I'm going to take some garlic, and then I'm just going to just mince this up really quickly as well. And we're going to just go through this. This part of the meal is the hardest part. It's called mise en place. It's all of the preparations that have to go into cooking. In fact, I think some people give up on cooking because they've all bought into the fast food mentality. Anyone here like fast food? I do too. In fact, if I didn't have fast food, there would be literally some days where I wouldn't eat. I mean, because it's sometimes the only thing I can eat when I'm traveling. And sometimes people think that my movement plating race is somehow fighting against fast food. It's not. I love fast food. My favorite fast food is Kentucky Fried Chicken. Don't judge me. Because the Colonel will one day be beatified as saint, okay? And if it wasn't that, I love my fried chicken. I love it. If I can't get fried chicken from KFC, you know where else I go? Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, you guys like Chick-fil-A? I love it. My only problem with them is that they're closed on Sundays when I crave them the most. By the way, I've got some cilantro here. I got the red onion in here. I got the lime in there. I've got garlic in there. This is just a nice rough chop. And basically all I'm going to do is to this add some salt, pepper to it as well. And then we are going to get somebody else to help whisk this all together with a little bit of olive oil. Some people will use like another type of fat, such as like sour cream. I don't go there. I just simply keep it real easy and just keep it kind of healthy and fresh. Are you going to make a mess? You sure? All right. What's your name? Seamus. Seamus, your job is to just hold this whisk right here, nice and tight. No, even lower down. Boom. Even lower. Nice and tight. Good. Yes. So it makes it nice and strong. Come around here. And then just mash the heaven out of it. All right? Oh, wait. You're going to make it nice and gentle. Nice and gentle. All right. Good job, Seamus. So, if I can't get that fried chicken, guess where else I go? You know what my favorite fried chicken? So, Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, and Popeyes. And you know why Popeyes, right? No, it's because if you look at it spelled, it really spells Pope, yes. I know it. So, one of the problems though is that if we buy into fast food, and you are doing amazingly, keep going, and you got that big piece right there. One of the problems with fast food is that the mentality basically says, I don't have time. I don't have time for my family. So very simple, you saw how I removed that. I'm going to show you again. And the reason I did this is because this, according to doctors, is kind of what makes you birth the seeds in the pit right here. So here, can you give it a try? No, I'm kidding with you. All right. We're going to break this down because basically at this stage of the game, once I get this all chopped up, these vegetables, we're just going to saute them in the sauce that Marty made. We're going to also top it off with a little bit of chicken, which I'm going to be grilling up. And we're going to be topping off with one other thing, and that's the screaming sour cream. So basically, the fast food mentality says, I don't have time. And let's just admit something, folks. Celebrating, that takes a lot of time. You, my friend, did an amazing job. Let's give it up for you. Got it. So the chicken has been marinating in this sauce. I'm going to cook some of this up right now. And it is going to automatically smell really good. While we're doing this cooking, I'm also going to be chopping up the rest of these vegetables. And you saw how easy this was. So we've got the pepper right here. I just cut the top off, and you'll see how easy this part comes up, the little stem. I cut the bottom out, just a little bit, and so it creates a nice flat base. Cut straight through, and then I slide my knife all the way across just to remove the pith. And therefore, super easy, and it's all done. The family celebration. How often are we so busy that we don't take the time for the family meal? I can tell you that there are statistics out there that say that the family meal has health benefits. And it's true, they do. In fact, the family meal, if eaten regularly, literally reduces drug addiction, teen pregnancy, teen suicide. It helps even with your teenagers' testing scores at school. And you're like, are you serious? Of course I am. I'm a priest, I wouldn't lie about these things. But more importantly, it just makes sense, doesn't it? Because at the table, if you're willing to plate some grace.com, but basically if you're willing to make time for your family, the table is literally transformed into a desk where the greatest lessons in life are learned. Let me see if this is going to be hot enough. It will, and it's going to make my favorite sound. Listen, ready? That is my favorite sound. Second only to when the priest or deacon says, Mass is ended, go in peace. Now that is my favorite sound. So we've got these. I actually probably would put this on a grill. We don't need a grill. We've got a pan. And what you really ought to do is, because of the marinade, you want to make sure that you kind of shake off any of the excess. If not, it'll just simply steam as opposed to sear. And that's what we want to do. Can you smell that already? Does it smell good? I want to use this as incense at church. That's what I want to do. And why? Because if we're doing something exciting and fun, then guess what happens? People will come hungry. They will come hungry. And I think one of the problems is that we don't take the time to prepare our faith, which is why people don't come hungry to church. They come bored because they don't even know what they're hungering for. Which is why I ask you this question, because I'm not boring. What are you hungry for? And where do you go to be fed? Because again, God wants to feed you, but so does the devil. And Our job is to make sure that we're hungering for the right things that can only come from God Himself. So, having said that, here's the way to celebrate your family, to celebrate faith. And it's going to be contained in the word meal. Meals, in fact. My job is to make sure that families are eating as regularly together as possible and celebrating MEALS. You ready for this? M stands for message. Make sure that your family gatherings have a message. And I'm not there to say, you're preaching to your kids all the time. But the fact is, I can clearly remember some of the greatest lessons that my mom and dad taught me were at the dinner table. I mean, I can't remember what some of my teachers taught me, but I remember clearly what my parents taught me because they used the meal time as an opportunity for a message. So make sure that your meals have one. E, encouragement. You know, the word encouragement is the exact opposite of discouragement. And the word discouragement literally means to take your heart out. Cuore is the root of this word courage, right? Cor means heart. When you discourage someone, you're taking their heart out. And so if you're going to have a meal, you're going to encourage them and put the heart back into them. That's what a meal can do. And that's why every meal has to have some level of encouragement. Now, A, some activity. I think we are all just ridiculously boring and static people in today's world. Favorite sound. Love this. All right. And why do I say that? We have kids playing video games and thinking that if they play video games and playing sports, they're going to be good at sports. That's ridiculous. Get your kids more active. Get them out into this world. Get them exploring the world. I lead pilgrimages. I've got a few of them. I just came back from one. And basically, these pilgrimages are active faith opportunities. We have to make sure that we are giving our young people not just a stagnant experience of church, just sitting there, but make them get out into this world. Make them get out into this world and experience the world as they should. Why? Because God is not boring. All right, this is cooking well. This is just going to continue to saute. I'm going to eventually hit it with a little bit of the sauce that I have. And then the final thing we've got to do is make the sour cream. So A is activity. Get your kids active. And then L. I think you know what that word is, right? It's love. I mean, honestly, we have to show that when you feed someone, you literally are showing that you love them. If you don't believe me, just ask what the Nazis did to the Jews. They starved them. Just consider what Mother Teresa did with poor people. She fed them. Feeding people is loving people. And that's why every meal should also end with an S. And that is sacramental. The mentality that there is something sacred that you all are doing. Okay, for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply take some hot sauce, add it right to the sour cream. So delicious. Don't freak out. Seems like a lot, but it's not. A little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And basically, guess what? This meal is almost done. Just mixing this all up. It's going to make a beautiful color, like a stew. And the last thing to help you to celebrate your faith as a family, S, the sacramental nature of the church. In other words, making sure that your families are truly being reminded of God. Why? Because God wants nothing more than to help your family get to heaven. So now that we've got these sauteing nicely, just going to add a little drizzle of this sauce that Marty made. Give it a little bit of extra flavor. And if I had some heavy liquor, we would set this sucker on fire, all right? But we don't. This is a family event. I'm kidding, but yeah. So guess what? This meal is basically done. What did this take? This takes a little bit of knowledge here. Let me show you something real quick. I'm going to get these vegetables and I'm going to cook these out a little bit later. I'm going to now take the meat that has been cooking beautifully, and we are going to cut into it, and we're going to prepare a fajita just for Marty and Seamus, because you guys helped out.
Yeah.
But you're not going to actually eat it. You're going to share it with somebody. Does that work? So, can I get 2 plates, please? Just 2 little plates so that we can cut this up. By the way, you saw I basically have this chopping board here, and it's green because Chef Peter Beach is awesome. He knows how to do this. Thank you very kindly. Thanks, Andrew. I technically should be using a red chopping board, and I should actually clean this completely, but I'm going to do it the guy way and clean it. Are you ready? Ready? There it is. Now it's all ready. So basically, we've got our chicken. We've got our tortillas that I'm going to warm up as well. Actually, they're already warm. And I'm going to make one for each of these guys who helped out because, again, they didn't work, they didn't eat. Now, I'd like to make sure that you aren't boring. I want to ask if you guys have any questions for me. If you have any questions for me, and I'll be happy to help answer it as best as I possibly can. Question before I close off with one little story.
Besides fried chicken, what's your favorite food?
What is that?
I said besides fried chicken, what's your favorite dish?
Oh, whatever is in my mouth, that's my favorite food. And I say that in all sincerity because I'm grateful for all types of food. A lot of people think, that I'm a chef, that people be like, but basically, that I like only fancy food. Can I tell you that the fanciest foods, you know what they were originally? Poor people's food. From pizza to spaghetti to fajitas to lo mein sushi. I mean, you couldn't get any more poor than that. But what we've done is we've forgotten and understanding it, which is why in my books I try to outline what food really is. And we've misunderstood it because we don't know how to cook. Until today, Marty, until today. And so what we're going to have to do is make sure that we know what we're all about as people who don't take food for granted. By the way, this chicken is beautifully cooked. It's so moist. And you saw I took nothing because it marinated well, and Chef already kind of cut them down into nicer, small, bite-sized pieces. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Did you help your mom in the kitchen?
Yes, I did help my mother in the kitchen because I'm her favorite child. And so it was very easy for me, especially since my brothers and sisters were all a little bit older and they were off to school, but it gave me the chance to actually do the cooking for the family on occasion. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little dab right here of this guacamole right on the base to help catch the juice. Any other questions? Questions? What? Oh, yes. Yes, young lady. What's the marinade? Oh, the marinade is called a fusion marinade. And so in my book, I call it Father Leo's Funky Fusion Steak Fajita with holy guacamole and screaming sour cream. But the marinade itself, you saw it was a little bit of soy sauce, brown sugar, white wine, ketchup from America, all those fun flavors. Questions? Yes, young man.
How old were you when you got your black belt?
How old was I when I got my black belt? I actually had 2 black belts. One is called a junior black belt, and I was only 11 years old. And then when I became 16, I got a regular black belt, like for adults. And I actually competed in full contact fighting, including a Filipino martial arts called arnis, Filipino stick fighting. So for fun, I beat people up with sticks. That's what I did. So thank you for asking. Other questions?
Did you cut yourself doing a demo?
Have I ever cut myself doing a demo? Yes, once, and no one knew it. Because I am a performer. But more importantly, I just kind of knew what I needed to do to get through it all. But it wasn't hard because I don't act silly when it comes to working with knives. I totally respect the ingredients that I'm working with and the equipment as well. So for me, I try to be uber careful. But I have cut myself. It's just part of the trade. It is just part of the trade. So I've got these beautiful vegetables that have been sauteed out. Let me have Marty and Seamus come back up, please. And young ladies, since you asked such a great question, coming up as well. Can I get another plate, Ben, please? Can you swing another plate for me? Coming up right behind me. Right behind me. Up on stage. There you go. Come on up. I'm going to give you guys a chance to do a little taste test. And thank you so much. I love doing things with Legatus and for the family. Why? Because Legatus, you guys know that you're ambassadors, right? And one of the things that ambassadors have to do is learn how to eat with people. And that's what Jesus said. Truly, he says, go out into this world and give peace. If peace is there, it's going to rest on you. But then he said something very clear. He said, eat what is set before you. Which is Jesus' way of saying, don't be a snob. Eat with people, even if they're different from you. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing on my podcast called Shoot the Shiitake. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's the God's honest truth. I'm trying to just meet people where they are, judgment-free, and more importantly, letting them know that as Holy Father Francis says, we are a church willing to dialogue. We are not afraid to talk with people, like Jesus did with the woman from Tyre and Sidon. Young lady. And our job is to make sure that our celebrations are in no way cliques. But really, if you're learning how to celebrate well, you're going to bring people from all around the world to come. That's why I'm doing this literally around the world. And so it's such an honor to come here at a man's home who understands the power of food. And so with all of this, what I'd like to do is just simply say thank you very much. You know, I've got information on my trips, like this one that I'm taking a culinary retreat in Italy. Go figure. In fact, people of Legatus are possibly planning something like a retreat in Napa Valley. I have a very difficult life. But what am I doing? I'm reminding you that God becomes food, and therefore He's the source of our celebration. And so, by the way, does this look fancy?
It looks really fancy.
Looks really fancy. What do you think? Really fancy. How about you? What do you think? Are you ready to eat it? Are you ready to eat it?
Yes.
Okay, not yet. Let's all pay the rosary. No, I'm kidding with you. What we're doing right now is I'm just making you even more hungry because you're only going to want to eat if you are. So let's pray a blessing on the meal and a blessing on all of us. That God, you bless us, you continue to let us know if we are hungry, we come to you. And let the food that we receive transform us so that we can feed other pizzas. O Lord, these thy gifts, which we are about to receive in thy bounty, through Christ our Lord. Amen. All right, give it a shot, and then I'm going to give you some extra so that you can share it with people you love. Let me hear what you really think. Go ahead, bite into it. Don't talk with your mouth full. You only ate the tortilla. What do you think there, bud?
It was really good.
Okay. Are you glad to a priest?
No, I'm serious.
Go and share that with somebody. Go and share this with somebody. And most importantly, celebrate as a family your faith. God bless you guys.